This is the talk on recognizing and preventing burnout. So I don't know how many of us have ever experienced that. So we're going to start this afternoon, with some opening remarks from me and the panel here, and then we're going to answer some pre-submitted questions, and then I had put note cards out for you guys, but this is a small room, so we're just going to go Q&A style. You can raise your hand, and we'll answer questions here. And then with about 15 minutes to go, we'll wrap up and tell you how you can learn more about us. Does that sound good? All right, so I'll start. My name is, before I start, I have to thank our sponsors. These are some of the sponsors. Strat Labs is the sponsor of this spotlight track of Denver Startup Week. Without the sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do this for free. Do we have any sponsors in the room? Okay, if we did, I was going to let them say hi. But it's just our sponsors. And this is us. So I'll start. I'm Dr. Mandy Marzier, owner and founder of Vital Wellness, which is a holistic healthcare company that works virtually and I also do speaking and workshops on stress, burnout, and hormones, not necessarily all in the same workshop. And I'm going to be moderating this panel today, and I'll turn it over to Sherry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sherry Wagner. I am the owner and founder of Ironclad Fitness. So I am a personal trainer and fitness coach. I operate mostly online as well. I do some in person as well. And I specialize in kettlebell training because that is what changed my life when it comes to fitness and health in general. And that was about 14 years ago. And I'm just super passionate about good movement and strength being like a foundation for our health and longevity. And over to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Megan McGee. I am a registered dietetic tech and certified mind-body eating coach. My practice is Nourish Nutrition Consulting. My practice is virtual. And I specialize in working with clients who have been diagnosed with chronic health changes, and really trying to bridge the gap between that health diagnosis and health change with still thriving. So the majority of my clients have autoimmune conditions, especially things like Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, diabetes, etc. And again, so often the conversation is, here's your diagnosis, and that's kind of it. Most of my clients come to see me in a state of truly not feeling good and barely getting through their days. And I love to bridge that gap of getting our vitality back or getting us close to 100% even with a chronic health change. I am so passionate about nutrition because I have seen how much it's impacted my life and my health. I have had my own journey surrounding food. I was a vegetarian for 20 years. I loved being a vegetarian. That felt good to me. That's not how I practice, but that is what felt good to me. And I really believe in the individuality with food. What works for one person might not be what works for another. And I'm excited to be here today.
Hi, I'm Blaine Wilkes, and I work on habit change. So I specifically work with women, and I have an over 20-year career in Western medicine. Then I started studying Eastern medicine, think like Chinese medicine, meridians, if you've ever done tapping or EFT or anything like that. So now I blend the two, the Western medicine and the Eastern medicine, to help women with habit change. I have online courses, online group coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I also do in-person stuff in the retreat setting.
Awesome. Thank you, panel. Okay, so I thought about this question this morning, so I'm going to open with, what is one of the biggest myths about burnout? And I will start. So the one I was thinking about this morning was that we have to be burned out to be successful, right? How many of us have thought that I have to hustle and grind, and I have to hit that wall of burnout in order for my business to be successful? And I can tell you I did that, but it really didn't make me more productive, and it really wasn't necessary. So I think there is a way that we can be productive and successful in our business without being burned out. And the the way one of my mentors told me just the other day was, would you rather work 6 productive hours a day or spend 12 hours where half of that is spent on social media because we're spaced out because we can't focus and concentrate, right? And we're going to give you some tips today to help you prevent hitting that wall of burnout.
So in the exercise realm, a myth about burnout is that you've got to go like 100% in every workout all the time, or you might as well just not work out at all. And that is completely not true, because if you are in a state of burnout in the rest of your life, then you have to mitigate what you're doing in your exercise to basically like balance out. Because if everything is always like up here, then when are you ever going to level yourself out? And you can put yourself into a bigger, stronger, harder to get out of mode of burnout if you also are going, like, excuse my French, balls to the wall all the time in your workouts. So, you really have to kind of dial your workouts back around your general stress level.
I think a myth around being an entrepreneur is that you can't have life going on in the background. So we all have life, and especially those big life events, whether it's a loss of a loved one, maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's some type of family stress that's going on. I think there's often this expectation that you have to pretend everything is perfect all the time, and you can't let anybody know that there's life going on. And what I think of in business is, maybe we want to be a little cautious of who we tell our whole story to, but I think it's also okay to honor your boundaries and honor where you are. And what I mean by that more specifically is, expressing to your clients, or whether it's your, employees or your business partners of, hey, I'm working these hours and I need to set some boundaries. I need some personal time. I'm not available right now at these days or hours. You don't have to tell everyone every single detail, but I think there's sort of this expectation that you have to pretend everything's beautiful, everything's 100% all the time. And let's be honest, guys, that's not reality. I also think it makes you more relatable and more human when you express, hey, there's been a life situation, there's a family challenge going on right now. You don't have to tell every detail, but being human, I actually think more people relate to that, and it makes you more approachable in business. So I think that's a big one, is just honoring when there's life going on.
From a habit perspective, I'll take this question, Mandy, about myths. So we have a habit field. Our energy runs in patterns and it runs in habits. And fortunately and unfortunately, our habits are what's known, right? Like, we know what our habits is. It's comfortable for the body. And so I think the myth is that we can just unhabituate burnout, like really quickly, take a week vacation or just sleep 8 hours every night for a few nights and you'll be fine, right? You have habituated your energy field, your energy body, into this burnout pattern, not overnight, right? It took a long time. And so a quick vacation or a couple of days off or a couple of nights sleep is not going to unhabituate that pattern. And so being compassionate with yourself and realizing that it takes some time, because the body likes the known, not the unknown, even if the known isn't really serving us. So just having patience and compassion, it's not a quick fix.
That's great, some great tips there. So now we're going to talk about what are some of the most common causes of burnout among entrepreneurs, and how can we identify them early on before they become a problem. So I'll start because this is kind of my story. So I hit burnout about 12 years ago, and I was just trying to do too much. But it wasn't until I was kind of flat on the floor and had no energy and needed about 6 pots of coffee a day to get through life that I realized I was having a problem. And so I think some of the early signs of burnout was that, ooh, I can't get through my afternoon without some sugar and caffeine, without some pick-me-ups. I'm also an athlete, so I noticed, oh, I'm not recovering from my workouts as well. Everything's just kind of tanking me. And I think one of the biggest signs that I didn't recognize early on was I just started to lose my enthusiasm, right? Like, we've all come here, we've started our businesses because we're excited about it, right? I hope you're not starting a business that you hate. So we're excited about our businesses, but then there comes that point where it's like, I don't want to get up and do this today. I don't want to deal with people, right? That's a big one for me. I'm peopled out. Well, I love people, and if I'm feeling peopled out, that means I'm probably pushing myself too hard and hitting up against that wall of burnout. So those are some of the early signs for me. And I think burnout is a spectrum. So if we can recognize it when it's over here, then we can mitigate it before it gets to that point where you're like I was 12 years ago, where you're flat on the floor, can't get out of bed, and now you're having all the health problems that your Western medical doctor doesn't know how to solve.
So I actually have a really similar story in actually almost the exact same timeline. It was about 12 years ago, maybe 13, early in my business when I had the same thing happen. Just, I'm running my business. At the time, I was working full-time as well and doing my business on the side, trying to build that to become the thing that I was going to do all the time. And just got to the point where, just kind of always going, and never getting that break. And all of a sudden, it was like somebody put the brakes on me. And I, for myself, I felt it first and foremost in my workouts. And all of a sudden, I lost like all the strength that I had. Like weights that I was lifting consistently, just all of a sudden, just, why can't I get this thing off the floor? And that's how it showed up for me. And, really similar story, like, just... the enjoyment level, truly the enjoyment level in my business was actually still there. The enjoyment level in my full-time job that was paying the bills currently was like way down here. But it really affected me for a long time. And truly what ended up happening was now and ever since basically, my tolerance for when I hit that burnout level is like way down here now. It's not like where it used to be. I was doing like this many things before I would burn out, and now it just doesn't take much. So it has a really long-lasting effect if you're not careful. And, that's something that I would, love to impress upon people is don't let yourself get to that level. Kind of notice some of the things, really like look at your body and how it's operating from things that Mandy said with, energy and all of that. But if you do work out regularly, think about your strength. And if all of a sudden your strength is just gone and motivation's gone and like everything just feels like bleh, then chances are you're going down that road already.
I think as entrepreneurs, we often think of ourselves as people, everything to everyone. And as a piece of that, we feel like we have to do more and more each day. And one of the things for me personally, and very similar, is working with clients one-on-one each day is my sweet spot. It's what I so enjoy and love doing. And when my clients start to annoy me, it's not them, it's me. And so that's always my tell. If my reactions to my clients starts to be a little edgy or a little snippy, I know that's actually me. And so that's a big flag. I know then, I gotta slow my roll, I gotta pump the brakes, and I've gotta take some time for me. It's one thing that I offer to all of you. We all function differently. We all show up differently. So what are your tells? What is, that trigger, if you will? What is that response of, I've hit that point? One of the things that I'll just speak to as well that I think is really important in this way is I want to talk about sleep for just a second. And there's a lot of things that we'll share with you as far as taking action and your self-care and preventing burnout. But I think, especially in the early days of building a business, sleep becomes overrated. And, oh, I'll sleep when I finally get, strong in business. I've got too much to do. But sleep is not overrated, and it is not a luxury. We have to be sleeping, and I think that's such a priority. That doesn't mean it fixes everything. I'm not suggesting that. But that would be also one thing to just notice. Am I honoring my sleep schedule? Am I getting rest? In the hours I'm in bed, am I actually sleeping, or am I tossing and turning because my brain is racing? But I think that sleep piece is such an important part of evaluating our level of stress and therefore our ability to function the next day.
Thanks. Just to build on what you said, my little thing where I know it's getting there is when I pull my car up to my home and I'm like, can I just sit here for a few more minutes? And you're like, it just feels like so hard to get out of the car and walk inside and put my stuff down. And that is when I feel that, like, can I just be here? I'm like, oh, I'm not sleeping well. I'm burned out. I need to really step back and take care of myself. But yeah, it'll be different for all of us. When I reached my burnout point, it was all about my internal dialogue, right? I have to work harder. I have to do more. Going back to childhood, I don't have a safety net. I'm not going to get an inheritance. I'm the one who has to make all the money. Other people can do this and that, but not me, right? These repeating thought loops, these stories, to not give myself permission to look at things another way. And they're not based in reality, right? My favorite bumper sticker thing is don't believe what you think. It's not based in reality. And so for those of you who walked in a little late, I said earlier I have some training in Eastern medicine as well as Western medicine. And so meditation, truly is what saved me, because I could create that little bit of a reality check once I let my brain get quiet. And I had a 2-year war with meditation. It's not like I just, sat down one day and was this great daily meditator, but I kept working on it. And when I finally got there, I could start to watch these stories in my head, and then they had less and less power over me. And so I think a lot of, we self-construct these realities for ourselves, quote, realities, that hold us in this place that makes us believe we can't change. It has to be like that for us.
Awesome, thanks. So we've talked a little bit about some of the myths of burnout, about starting to recognize the warning signs. So let's talk about some things we can do, right? And I know that can seem daunting. Like, I'm burned out because I'm wearing a million hats. I'm trying to run a business and a family and my own life. And of course, I'm falling to the wayside and all that, right? Because everything else is more important, which is a common human thing that we do. But what are some ways that we can try to get some self-care in? Because I think the people that I work with are very high-achieving people, and they're like, it's overwhelming. How do I go I don't have time to go for a 2-hour massage or something. And sometimes that's not the solution. So I'll tell you, one of my secrets for self-care is mini breaks in my day. And I mean mini breaks. I mean 5 minutes. I will take 5 minutes and I teach in my programs something called positive intelligence, things where we do little sensory things like rub 2 fingers together so you can feel every ridge and groove. It just grounds you just to do that. So I can do that for 2 minutes even, in between client calls, to recenter myself. Breath work is a great one. We're already in Colorado and we're a mile up, so we're already dealing with a little less oxygen. So getting that breath going around your body, it can give you give your brain a boost also. So if you're going into an important meeting or something, doing some breath work first. Or even, for those of you that know a little bit of yoga, lay down with your legs up the wall. If you want to take it to another level, use one of the many apps that are out there and download a little meditation or something. 5 minutes. We can schedule 5 minutes. But I always tell the people I work with, you have to be on your schedule. So we have a schedule for everything, right? The kids, the dinner, the job, the clients, all the things, right? The networking. We got to put ourselves on that schedule too.
And we also have to put exercise on that schedule. So putting yourself first is exercising for health. And it doesn't have to be an hour workout. It can be those 5-minute mini breaks. Put your hands on the side of your desk and do some push-ups. Or sit up and down to your chair. It's called squats. You can build it in that easily. Or if you are using your calendar and want to block out a little bit more time for exercise, maybe 15, 20 minutes is all you need. It doesn't have to be an hour or two at the gym all the time. And I always tell people to schedule it just like you would any other appointment and treat it as just important as you would any other appointment. Because truly, you're not going to go and cancel a doctor's appointment last minute because they charge you and whatever. Well, don't do that to yourself either. Don't cancel on yourself last minute just because you think something else is more important. No, you are more important. You are the most important thing, especially as a business owner. Because if you're like me and a single business owner, who else is going to do the things if you can't do the things? So really schedule that time for yourself and honor it. And, self-care is not selfish. And I feel like exercise and good nutrition and things like that are the ultimate expression of self-care, because you can't just go and get a massage and be refreshed for, a week. You have to keep showing up over and over again, not literally every single day, but week in and week out. You have to keep showing up for your exercise and your nutrition to have that be the really fulfilling self-care that it can be.
I love all of that. So one of the things I suggest to my clients is that they create what I call a care kit. A care kit is anything you can do in the course of the day to de-stress and to take care of yourself. It can be very subtle, and all of this is just really about the consciousness and checking back into your body. So deep breathing is one of my favorite pieces of that. But again, very subtle things. For example, if you work from home, maybe whatever bathroom you use, you get a really nice hand soap and a really nice hand lotion. And every time you go to the bathroom, you just take a few extra seconds to truly wash your hands. You're feeling the silkiness of the soap. If it's a flavored or has a good smell, maybe you're smelling that. Maybe you're envisioning releasing your stress down the drain. Maybe you take a few seconds to massage that hand lotion in and you're really feeling the silkiness. You're massaging your hands. This doesn't take time away from you. It's all sensory. It's just about taking a few minutes to pause. It could be things like lighting a special candle or having essential oils in your office space. Maybe it is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you go and you make a hot cup of tea, and it's the ritual of it. You have your favorite mug, you have your favorite tea bag, you feel the heat, you smell the aroma, you just take a few seconds to breathe. Maybe it's at lunchtime, you commit that you're going to go outside, even for just 5 minutes, just to see the sunshine. These little things spread through the day can have such a big impact. And again, it doesn't have to be one more thing on the to-do list. It doesn't have to be a time suck. In fact, I think it's giving you time back, because when you go to sit back down, you're actually focused again. Your brain's not going 1,000 miles a minute.
Sometimes you get so much bang for your buck with the basics. Stay hydrated, get enough sleep, move your body, eat your greens and fruits and vegetables, right? I mean, that takes us a long way. Because you can have the soap, but if you're not hydrated and you haven't slept and you're not moving your body and you don't get out and see the sun, right? I mean, so I think there's a foundation, and it's all things we know. And when I work with clients, I can say something like that, like exercise. And they're like, well, I already know that. Well, do you do it? I mean, because I think, for all of us, we get in because we consume so much information and listen to so many speakers and watch YouTube, and there's just so much content available, and you listen to someone, and it's like, I already knew that, I already knew that, I already knew that. Well, are you doing any of it? There's a big difference between knowing it and doing it. And so, picking the things that resonate with you, and also making sure that you do the basics. And one more thing, I will jump in there. So energy has rules, the energy in your body. And the two first ones are energy wants to move, energy needs space to move. And so even if it's just stretching, right? Because if you have dogs or cats or animals, they get up from their sleep and they go into like their down dog or whatever, they start stretching. But we get up from our sleep and we're so just disconnected that we like grab our phone or, do something else. Like instead of like really like if we were connected, we would just start stretching after being in bed all night. And so just, even if you don't have time to walk or whatever, just, the basic like making your body big and giving your body space to move will just immediately make you feel a lot better.
Awesome. Great tips there. I love that. They don't take a lot of time. That's the best part. So we're a room full of startup entrepreneurs, right? And you might be listening to some of this and thinking, I have no time for that. Like, I'm just worried about getting my business up off the ground, right? Because I remember that. I actually transitioned to an all virtual business. I'm a chiropractor by license, and I sold my brick and mortar in 2021 with all the pandemic stuff going on. And I thought that was a lateral move, but it wasn't. I started a new business in 2022, and so I'm in year 2 of that business, and I get it. I feel like I need to be really focusing until I hit those marks, and then I can calm down and worry about me. But I think it'd be great if we could all give one tip that would help us to be able to take care of ourselves while we're still building that business that doesn't feel overwhelming. So mine is boundaries. Boundaries are a huge one. I work with my clients on this, and I have to do this myself. So the first boundary I set up was my work hours. And those are non-negotiable. Now, do I ever make that one exception? I'm going to hop on a call just at the end of my day. Yes, I have done that for people. I have a heart for people. But pretty much those are my hours that I work with clients. And then I have my hours. I even have boundaries around my admin hours. So these are the hours that I do my admin work. And then in those boundaries is I have to schedule my me time. And not perfect. I'm not going to lie, I work a lot of weekends because I am trying to put some extra life into my business so it can get to a more sustainable point. But my morning time is my time. So I'm one of those sick early morning people that y'all love to hate. And I'm up at 4 in the morning, and that is not a time for me to work. I get up, I have a little morning ritual I do. Another little tip, I set 3 goals for the day. That's manageable, right? I can accomplish 3 things because as an entrepreneur, right? Your to-do list is never ending. Like, all the entrepreneurs I work with, they're like, it's never empty. And I'm like, great, I'm looking at the pile on my desk right now. It's never going to be gone. But if I set 3 goals that I want to accomplish today, then at the end of the day, I can look back and say, okay, I was successful. I did that. So I do that in the morning, and then I'm addicted to working out. So that is my time to work out, spend time with my puppies, and make my breakfast. And then I don't start seeing clients till 9 or 10 in the morning. So that is part of my boundaries. Like, that is my me time. So while I may work on a Saturday afternoon, even though I said I wasn't going to, I do have those non-negotiables in my schedule.
Yeah, man, I couldn't have said that better if I tried. I 100% agree with the boundaries. I feel like I personally need some of those boundaries as well in my personal life. So like with myself and my husband, I have to set some of those boundaries of this is my time to do fill in the blank, whatever that may be. And I also set boundaries with my clients. I am not available on weekends, period. Like that is, no is a complete sentence. Everybody's heard that before. So that's a huge one, I think, with boundaries. No is a complete sentence. And that is you honoring your boundaries by saying no to something, whatever that may be, that doesn't feel right for you. But yeah, one of the boundaries I set for myself was I don't work on weekends, because I used to basically work 7 days a week. And I realized I can't be all things to all people. And so if a client is a weekend client, you're not my client. And, that's just something I need from me, because I burn out by working 7 days a week. And, the time that I spend with my husband, since he works a regular 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, the weekends are kind of precious time in our lives. And those are times that, I sort of hold as my personal time, and I set that boundary with that.
Well, I'm number 3 for boundaries. Yes, I am. I mean, owning your schedule that in itself is a non-negotiable. But just to add to that, I love the phrase, do it, delegate it, dump it. So do it. Are you the only one who can truly do the task? Delegate it. Do you need to pass it along to someone else? Or dump it. Are we creating things we think we need to be doing that truly are not moving the needle? And as we start out, sometimes we can't afford to delegate everything, and very much I appreciate that and I get that. But even starting out, I think evaluating that, what are the tasks in my day that I'm currently doing because I am starting out, but ultimately I need to get off my plate. And then thinking about it from a dollars and cents conversation. 1 hour of you being paid by your potential client versus doing a task that really isn't moving the needle. I mean, start thinking about it from that dollars and cents. And even initially starting out, if you have kids at home, can you pay them a couple bucks to do your data entry, for example? Something that's not very expensive, but again, gives you the time to truly be the business owner that you need to be. So really, it's a lot being a business owner. It's a lot when you're trying to wear all the hats. That is a really good way to think about it. Are these tasks that are serving me? Is this a task that only I can do? How fast can I get this task off my plate?
How important is that data entry? It being right. No, I'm just kidding. I guess, yeah, I'll stick on the boundary bus. And actually, my thing I was going to say has B's. So I adopted body before business. It was like the catchy thing in my head. I could work with body before business. And I do manage my boundaries with my calendar. I don't have a to-do list. I don't have some separate thing that's on a to-do list. Like if it's a to-do, it goes on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done. And so I have to find the stuff that, I used to a long time ago, like write on Post-it notes or whatever, like those go in calendar slots instead. And then I hold to my calendar. And, my workouts are in there, my other things that I do to take care of myself is in there. And so when the pressure comes, right, the thing came at me I didn't see coming, and I have a full calendar, and I have my exercise scheduled, and I feel tempted to, not do the workout so I can do this business thing, body before business. And I always just come back to that body before business, because if my body's not healthy, if I'm low energy, if I don't feel good, if I'm on the brink of burnout, if I'm in brain fog, if I'm in any of those things, then what good am I to my business anyway?
Awesome, I love that. Boundaries, such a big one. So I think we've got time to take some questions from the audience. I know some people are in the back, and I don't think we put all our handouts in the back. So if somebody doesn't have them, do you want to put your hands up? And Brian, would you mind getting some handouts to the people that don't have them? So if you just want to raise your hand, if you don't have a handout, we'll get you some. In the handouts, there is a survey card. So most of the handouts you can take with you, but there's a little survey card that I left If you have a few minutes to fill that out, that's super helpful. I also give talks and workshops on these subjects. I mentioned some people came in late. I talk about stress, burnout, and women's hormones. So if anybody knows someone looking for that, that can be put on the survey card. And then we each have left a little leave behind where you can scan a QR code and get more information about working with us. So does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yes.
So, if you were talking about the tells of burnout, and I think I have zeroed in on mine, and so let's say you're in that space, too late to, okay, I'm not going to hit that, you're there. What do you recommend as far as like, okay, so you know you're there, and let's say you've devised like a plan to take a break, let's just say, how do you know, like what's the indicator that you can kind of go back to maybe not the regular bad schedule, but like maybe your revised, updated schedule? How do you know, like if it's like a pendulum, let me put it this way. Let's say the pendulum's gone in the wrong direction, right? And so you're now like, okay, I got to swing it back a little bit. I can't just inch it back. How do you know when you can kind of resume your normal revised practice?
Yeah, I think we've all been there. So I can speak from personal experience. Because I was at that wall of burnout. So I do like that you mentioned a revised schedule, because you kind of got to revise your schedule. And I think you'll know you're ready to go back when you start to have that passion for it again, right? And sometimes we have to play with that, because sometimes I can't wait till all of my passion is reignited because my business needs me. But I will try to just take, like, for instance, I've realized this year I've been really bad about taking time off, and I think my last vacation was at Christmas time last year. So I took a 4-day weekend over Labor Day, and I was like, I'm not checking email. I'm not checking in with the business. I'm taking those 4 days, and then I try to find something that really is fun to do that's not going to further burn me out. So I have 2 puppies that are about a year old. So I took them out and did an easy hike with them so that it wasn't, too strenuous on my body. But that way, when I came back Tuesday and I had a full client load the day after Labor Day, I was like, you know what? I'm excited. I'm ready to serve these clients. So I think just giving myself those 4 days to do whatever I wanted. We went out to dinner. We didn't put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We didn't have any parties or anything. So you'll start to feel that pull again towards your business. Like, I want to be there versus I want to just shut the world away and hide under the covers today.
I would mirror a lot of what Mandy said. Also, I think about like an energy perspective. How does your energy feel? That's kind of a good tell as to whether or not you're really sort of turning the corner out of the burnout phase. If you're not waking up rested, then you're probably not out of the woods yet. If 2 o'clock rolls around and you're like, then you're definitely not out of the woods yet. And I feel like it takes a little bit more scrutinizing of that schedule to really look at, what can go from the schedule. And, I'm feeling this myself right now. I also took a 5-day weekend over Labor Day, and while I felt refreshed while I was away, I kind of came back to like, boom, got like all these things, and realized that like that time away didn't really refresh me. And so now I'm taking a look at my schedule, like really scrutinizing it, saying how many appointments are absolutely necessary to keep, which ones can go, and the ones that can go are going, and I'm just paying attention to my energy. And so like this morning I was really dragging, and I said, well, I've got this thing this afternoon that's kind of important. And for me, like in my workout, I just went really easy today and just got some movement in. I didn't push it because I didn't want to get myself, like from a workout perspective, you want to have your energy remain elevated for a few hours at least after your workout. You don't want to be crashing right away, and you definitely don't want to be crashing in the afternoon either. So, just kind of really looking from an overall energy perspective, I feel like is one of the tells that you can hone in on as to where you are on that spectrum.
When your pendulum's swinging hopefully the other way, I think that's still a good time to look in or look at whatever changes you've implemented. So whatever you have done to get out of burnout and to get even to middle ground, if you will, are some of those things you need to just keep bringing forward. Like instead of an all or none, oh, I'm either at burnout or I'm thriving, oh, I'm at burnout, so I have to fully retreat and pull back. Can we look at some of those things we've done to recover and keep them going? So that's the first piece is maybe there's some things that need to shift, but are there some things that we just need to keep? Hey, you know what? I've been really good about my water over the last couple weeks. I'm going to stay on top of that. I can handle that. Hey, I've been really good about getting into bed by 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to keep that going. But my other thought is if you are hitting burnout, do we need to start thinking in a more forward-minded way of how do we prevent burnout in the future? And again, going back to boundaries and scheduling, do we need to do a better job of owning our schedule and owning those boundaries and committing to the amount of work we can really handle in a digestible way on a more regular basis? And maybe that is simply, for example, once a quarter, I'm going to take a 5-day break. I got to get through my quarter. I am hustling, but it's going to go on my calendar that, once a month I take X amount of time for me. Not time off. That implies maybe something potentially bad. You're not off. You're taking care of you. And that's an important piece. So again, I think the forward thinking around that is really important.
I don't really have anything else to add. I'm the energy person, so I would definitely say pay attention to the energy and just notice what gives you energy and what doesn't. This is, you're spiraling up or spiraling down, right? And so, we're always moving, right? And so energy is always moving. So the more you note and it doesn't have to be the work stuff, the relationships in your life or, whatever it is that your hobbies or things that you're passionate about, just finding what really makes you feel like you're spiraling up versus what spiraling down, and then slowly kind of carving your day to be in tune, because that's your nature, right? We're all going to be different in that. So aligning with your true nature.
Great. Yeah, and kudos to you for recognizing that in yourself, because most of us got to slam into the brick wall really hard to recognize that.
And there's one other question over here.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a question. You touched on your morning routine, and I have morning routine, and it helps me, my day's not right if I don't do it. Can you guys each talk about what items specifically are on your morning routine, and then also do you have a nightly routine so that way you close your day on a positive note so you can do your morning routine next day?
Yes, and I work with all my clients on this one. And my morning routine is super simple because I don't like to have a lot of time for it, right? So I get up and mentioned I follow that positive intelligence program. They have a little message of the day every day. It's 2 minutes long. So I'm listening to an inspirational message for 2 minutes that gets me kind of in a good headspace. And then I write down my 3 things that I'm grateful for. It's to start and end my day with gratitude. 3 goals I have for today, so I feel like I've accomplished something on that to-do list. And then I exercise as part of my morning routine. And if I don't, most of the time I'm a runner, so I'm exercising outdoors. If I don't get outdoors to exercise, I do take my coffee when I get back from my workout or done working out, and I get outside and get some sun. So I try to get that sunlight, especially if we're working from home and we're not driving to work. That's really important for our circadian rhythm in our brain. And then my end of the day routine, and this was super helpful. I'm going to tell you, I was the person that was laying awake at night with the monkey mind, and it wasn't even stuff I was aware I was thinking. It's not I'm so stressed out, and I'm going to ruminate about this all night. No, it would just come up when I'm trying to sleep. And this really helped me. So I end my day by writing in my same little journal that I put my goals in. I write a brain dump. So anything that's on my mind, this client case, I got to get this marketing material out, whatever it is. And then I write what went right today. So I'm ending on that positive note. I'm not ending my day thinking about all of my stressors. And that's what I do at the end of the day. After that, I'm not really diligent about like, oh, I meditate before bed or anything. I think that stuff's awesome. But then I just kind of hang out with my dogs on the couch and just kind of unplug. So I do try not to be on social media all night. I'm not perfect at that. But I try to get off that computer and the phone and stuff like that. But that's my routine.
So I'm not quite as diligent with my early morning routines because I like my sleep. So I wake up at sort of the last possible minute because that's important to me, truly, is to get my sleep. But most mornings I teach a class in the morning, and then, excuse me, my workout time comes after that because I have noticed a difference. If I work out before I teach, I'm just not as mentally in my workout, or in my class, I mean. And it's just, I don't know, that's sort of just become my routine, is that's my workout time. So I never schedule appointments, shouldn't say never, almost never schedule appointments after my class. And that's my me time to do my workout, then eat my breakfast, take the dogs for a walk. Sometimes I will take myself for a walk without the dogs, because really, me taking the dogs for a walk isn't always a relaxing thing. So I will sometimes take myself for a walk, and that's pretty much it for my morning routine, is, just sort of taking that time to take care of me first before I get into my day. And then my evening routine, after dinner, I sit on the sofa and we binge watch whatever we're binge watching at the current moment, and I knit and crochet, and that is my time to get my mind off of everything else, because I'm focused on what it is that is in my hands at the moment. And that's like a huge downtime thing for me. It's very meditative for me, and I truly am like shutting the whole world out when I'm sitting there stitching. And half the time I might be watching what is on TV, and sometimes I'm not. And after that is pretty much bedtime. And my little bedtime routine is take my supplements, let the dogs out, go upstairs. I have some neck issues, and so I do all of my special neck exercises. And then I try my best to get into bed by 10. It doesn't always work, but that's what my ideal evening is that.
I am much stronger about a morning ritual than a nighttime ritual. My morning ritual is getting up. I love coffee, and so there's nothing better than starting my day with a cup of coffee. During that time, I usually am getting my dogs situated for the morning, and then we go for about a 30-minute walk. My coworkers are restless if I don't walk them in the morning. So we go for a walk, and during that time, I always listen to something for the 30 minutes, whether it's a podcast, whether it's just clicking on YouTube and doing a free some type of meditation or affirmation series, something that's going to be really motivating and energizing and supportive of me. I look at that time not as though I'm going to have a bad day, but it's really about taking ownership of setting the time for me so that I'm able to cope with the stress that's coming my way in the day. And it really does make a difference. From there, after walking and getting home, I typically have breakfast. I may go sit on my patio. My patio is one of my favorite places, especially in the summertime. And so for this morning, my order was a little reversed, but I made my cup of coffee, sat on my patio for about 15 minutes, and just breathe. Just sat there. And then went for my walk and started my day. Nighttime, I'm an early bird, so I literally start heading up to bed at 8 o'clock, no joke. And yes, I have a playground in my backyard, and I can hear the kids playing, and I'm going up to bed, I know. But 8 o'clock, and I'm not going to sleep at 8 o'clock, I don't mean it that way, but that is just a ritual for me. I like to get in my bed, and so it's like creating sleep routine or sleep hygiene. It's telling myself that I'm heading that direction. Again, I'm not going to sleep at 8, But, I head upstairs at 8, I get the dog settled. By the time I get myself in bed, it's maybe 8:30. And then I might read, I might watch a little TV. Honestly, right now, I've been practicing my Duolingo. I leave for Spain in 2 weeks, so I've been working on my Spanish. But it's just about the idea of quiet, like all the lights are down and are off. I'm telling my body that I'm heading that way, that it's okay to rest, and it's just setting that tone to encourage a good night's sleep.
I love, you might be said or insinuated your day starts the night before. Like you're absolutely right. I mean, starting with the night before. So I'll start with my night routine. I do not get into specifics, but I do a little energy medicine routine on myself before I go to bed. And I'm a very strict, I sleep from 9 to 5. And so for me to be asleep at 9, I'm usually in bed at 8:15, but I always get up at 5. I've really trained my body to be on that circadian rhythm. But the part of it that I will share with you that I do is that I take lotion and I give myself a hand and foot massage when I get into bed. And it's dry where we live, right? So, I do get dry hands a lot. But from a meridian, the meridians in the body, we get a lot of stuck energy in our hands and we get a lot of stuck energy in our feet. And while we sleep, our body's going through all this maintenance processes, right? There's all these routines that our body's doing. And so we don't really want stuck energy while we're sleeping. And so if you just really give yourself a hand massage and a foot massage, I think it's really lovely and kind of becomes it's a time to go to bed trigger. I get up at 5. I'm a daily I drink a lot of water. I'm pounding water in the morning. I do not want to get into noon and I am behind in the hydration game. And so I drink a lot of water in the morning, I meditate, and I exercise, and then move on with my day.
Awesome. All right, so we got about 8 minutes left. So if there's more questions, just come see us at the end, and we'll hang out for a few minutes and answer some questions. We're just going to kind of wrap up, summarize here, and let you know how, like I said, you can stay in touch with us. So as I said, we've all left some leave-behinds there. I left one that you can scan for a PDF of 5 ways to get your mojo back. I am all about simplicity and sustainability. So those are 5 easy things that you can do right now if you're feeling like you need an energy boost. And I'm Dr. Mandy Marzier, owner and founder of Vital Wellness. I am a chiropractor that now practices functional medicine and health coaching online. I love working with high achievers, because that's just a special place in my heart, because I am one. And I just love supporting you because you guys are out there doing great things in the world. And you're all high achievers, because anyone that's in this room and is involved in a startup, that is not easy. So kudos to you. Kudos to you for showing up today. I really appreciate you guys coming to this talk and getting some tips, because we have to put ourselves on the list, right? It's easy to, I want to learn all the AI and all the fancy tech stuff too, but I have to put myself on there somewhere. And I'll leave you with this, because this is something that I really had to get through my thick skull, that took a long time for me to realize that doing less is actually more. And someone said that to me once. They were like, I did less in my business and I made more money. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's really true, because when I do less, I'm more productive. And I do what's already been mentioned here today, is I get rid of all that stuff that needs to be dumped off my list. How many of us has signed up for 1 million email things, and I've got 15 classes I want to watch because they're all free. And then I'm overwhelmed with how I'm going to schedule this in, and I got nothing out of any of them. So getting that stuff off my list, doing less to do more, and being really targeted and productive in what I do go after. And just realizing in that do less, then I can really stand in my zone of genius. This is one of my zones of genius. I just love talking and educating, and I love one-on-one client work, but I probably like this a little bit more. So that's why I do more of it and put more effort into it.
I also have a leave behind there, and there are 2 things you can scan. One is for a consultation for personal training or group fitness programs, and the other is a free ebook that you can download that is 5 body weight workouts, so you can do them anywhere. And they're very scalable. I give tips on how to make them easier, how to make them harder. And again, it's kind of like less is more. They're not big, complicated workouts. Most of them have 5 to 7 exercises at the max and can take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And really passionate about that you don't have to spend a lot of time working out to get all the benefits that are able to be had from working out. And the thing I'd want to leave you with in relationship to today's talk about burnout busters is think about a cup. And this is your stress cup. So there's only so much room in the cup before things start to spill over. So if your life is filling that cup, you don't have a lot of room for your business before it spills over, and then you really have no room for anything else, let alone your health. So you need to have room in that cup for all of the components. And from an exercise perspective and just general health, is that if it's filled up with business and life and all of the other things, and there's no room for working out before you spill over, but you're still doing these really hard workouts, you're spilling over. And your best efforts and intentions at the working out being healthy for you is no longer healthy for you if your stress cup is filled already, and then you add exercise to it. Because exercise is a stress on your body. We want it to be a good stress. And it's only a good stress if that cup doesn't overflow. So I'm Sherry Wagner, owner of Ironclad Fitness.
I'm Megan McGee. My practice is Nourish Nutrition Consulting. And if I were to leave today offering one thought or one tip or truly one thing for you guys to walk away with, I think boundaries is really the end-all be-all, if you will. I think that's such an important part as you build a business. I was very blessed to have a mentor in all of my early years who really instilled the idea of boundaries. And it's something that I don't take for granted. I can tell you in a week's time my work hours, and whether that's client time, whether that's my admin time, I can absolutely tell you when my play time is. I can tell you when my workout time is. By giving everything space, I'm able to thrive. I think that's part of the joy of being an entrepreneur, is building your schedule so that you have the freedom and flexibility to do all the things that you want to do and all the things that you need to do. And yes, sometimes things will, work time falls into playtime. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes there's things we've got to do. But the more you own that schedule, I just think the more you're able to thrive personally and professionally. I have worked with so many entrepreneurs who have said to me, and I've heard this many times, well, I just have to sit by the phone because if the phone rings, I have to be available. That's perspective. I don't agree with that perspective. I think it's about clarity with your clients. These are the hours I'm available and accessible. And when I'm available and accessible, I'm 100% in it with you. These are the times I'm available. You have to be able to breathe life into yourself in order to thrive personally and professionally. I have also left a leave behind for you. I have a couple complimentary webinars coming up. There's an option for a complimentary brief consultation with me. I wish you guys all the best in your journeys. Thank you.
I'm Blaine Wilkes. I think if I was going to give one tip, it would be to find a breath practice that works for you. Because the breath, this is obvious, but I'm just going to state it. You don't breathe in the past. You don't breathe in the future. And so, wherever your mind is taking you, you breathe in the now. And so there's a million different breath works. You can take 3 breaths, 5 breaths, equal breath. There's so many of them out there. But if you just find one that works for you and just come back to the breath when you're feeling that overwhelm or the anxiety or the burnout or the crush, because the now will help you bring things into perspective. I own Vibrant Energy. I did not bring a handout. I was in New Mexico running a program, and I just got in late last night. But it's Blaine, B-L-A-I-N-E, Wilkes, W-I-L-K-E-S, and so the website is blainewilkes.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to my wonderful panel.